Welcome back to the Adaptive Athlete Podcast, the place for hearing stories of adaptive athletes in the CrossFit space and beyond. I'm your host, Matt Hotho. On today's episode, I'm talking with Lysbeth Shirley. Lysbeth is an adaptive athlete who trains in her wheelchair and is also deaf. And in addition to training in her wheelchair, she actually trains exclusively in her home. She does street parking programming and main site programming to stay fit and to expand her fitness. We had a really great interview. Check it out. Lysbeth, welcome to the show. So we've gotten a chance to talk a little bit, but how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Tell me a little bit about your impairment. What makes you an adaptive athlete?
Yeah, so I was a 28-week-old preemie. So from what they think happened is I had a stroke in utero, and then I also have hearing loss from the prematurity. So I'm also hard of hearing as well. Mm-hmm. So with the paralysis, it's basically from like my boobs down.
Okay.
So no core muscles, no, can't move my legs or anything like that. That's kind of the gist of it.
So you use a chair to get around, a wheelchair?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a performance chair, like one of the more like weightlifting chairs? One of the more like sports chairs?
No, it's just a typical regular wheelchair.
Okay, gotcha. And you work out in that when you have to work out? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And you said you are hard of hearing. So for our conversation right now, you told me you're lip reading and essentially you have hearing aids and they're helping you kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
But you have other ways too that you can communicate.
Yeah. So ASL is my second language. Mm-hmm. So I actually did not start learning it until I was in middle school. And that's when I started meeting other deaf, hard of hearing kids as well. And then started lighting it up myself and just kind of picked it up and saw that it really helped me out a lot in school.
What was that experience like? Having to learn it probably a little bit later in life, but learn it with some friends? I don't know, by meeting other deaf people.
It was different, I guess. Yeah. Never seen it before. The school so I'm originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I live in Lafayette now. And we moved to Lafayette when I was like 5. So I was just about to start kindergarten, I think. And, but the school that I was like zoned for, it was just like your regular, typical elementary school. There wasn't any programs or anything. So we actually did not hear about the deaf hard of hearing program until I was like in 3rd grade. Mm. And I was kind of just already comfortable at the school. So they were like, well, let's just keep her here, So it wasn't until, like I said, it wasn't until middle school when I went to the same school that has, interpreters and programs and things like that for deaf, hard of hearing kids.
Okay, so you went to a middle school that was for kids who were deaf and hard of hearing, or had a program for it anyways? Well,
yeah, it was like mainstreamed.
Yeah.
It was like mainstream, but so the interpreters would follow us.
Oh, okay.
Or they would schedule the interpreters for that class or whatever. And the interpreter would go into that class.
What was it like in middle school and high school, maybe having like a secret language that you could have with friends that nobody else who didn't know it could know what you were like saying or referencing to each other? Did you ever have fun with that?
Yeah. Yeah, kind of, maybe. So like, we'll be talking like from across the room or whatever. And then like somebody that doesn't know any of ASL, they're just looking at you like, kind of like.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Like doing the headlights. And then I'm like, we're not talking about you, don't worry. I would never do that.
Yeah.
So, and then like for me also, when I sign, I tend to sign and voice at the same time.
Okay. Yeah.
So if I'm around people that do not know sign language, I'll sign and voice at the same time so they can so that we can still include them in the conversation as well. As to where, if you were to flip it,
Yeah. Yeah. You wouldn't see somebody who is not hard of hearing signing so that someone who is hard of hearing would be able to understand. You're doing the able-bodied person a favor, right? In that moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, we always, like I said, for me, I always try to voice and sign at the same time. Sometimes I'll turn off the voice. It depends on who we're with and what the situation is, what the environment is, things like that.
Yeah. In ASL, is it common to have your own sign, like for your name, like a shorter version of your name? Okay.
It's called a sign name.
Okay, so what was your sign name? Can I ask?
Mine's just with the L.
Just L?
Lysbeth.
Okay. And you would put it under your chin?
Yeah, just
okay.
Lysbeth. Yeah.
Neat.
So a sign name is given to you by a deaf or hard of hearing person. A hearing person cannot give.
So they would. How are you given a sign name then? Does someone tell you, like, sign to you, this is your sign name?
So, like, you get to know the person. You get to, see what they like, see what their interests are. If they're involved in sports, if they're, just different things like that. So you kind of have to get to know the person first before you can give your sign name. I honestly don't remember how I got mine. That was way back in middle school.
Okay.
I don't even remember, and I think it's changed a little bit. I think it was original. There was like the L here, and then it was the B. So like Lysbeth, like from the L to the B, and I was just like, yeah. And then as the years went on, I just kind of just started. I was like,
shortening it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but that's how it goes. Like a deaf, hard of hearing person is the one that gives you your sign name.
Gotcha. That's really cool.
A hearing person cannot. I think the exception is a family member. Like if a mom or dad, that has a deaf child, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the exception.
Then they would give them a sign name.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's the exception.
Okay.
So like I've given my family members sign names, but I mean, like I said, they don't know sign language anyway. But I just gave it to them anyway.
To be polite, it's like, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. So thank you for that just kind of window into that world. That's really interesting. I think there's going to be some listeners who had no idea that was a thing, which is just so cool. One thing that I like about this podcast is broadening horizons and kind of building empathy, opening people's eyes to other worlds that are out there that people live in on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's kind of a double whammy with me because I have two disabilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
One you can see, one you can't. I mean, like if I were to like pull up my hair in a ponytail, you would probably be able to notice the hearing aids. But like today I have my hair down, you probably didn't even notice, and you probably didn't even notice until I started sounding.
Yeah. That's right. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit more about kind of in the lane of this podcast. So you have done functional fitness, CrossFit, and street parking for a while. I'm curious kind of what your journey was into CrossFit, especially since you are in a chair and you use a wheelchair to get around. What that experience was like when you first got into a CrossFit affiliate.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but down here in South Louisiana, there's really not a whole lot of like sports opportunities, I guess would be the best way to say it.
Yeah, for adaptive athletes?
Yeah. Like growing up, there was really nothing here for kids, so to speak, so to say. If there was, it was for guys, and they were like in their 30s and 40s. Kind of.
Yeah.
So like one thing is I love basketball. Basketball was like the first sport that I ever really enjoyed a lot playing. And I enjoyed it a lot because I can play it and watch it and play it. Mm-hmm. And so I just always played basketball in in the driveway. So, and I used to help out with my middle school basketball team. And so I did that when I was in middle school. I thought about trying to do it in high school, but anyway. So, and then, just kind of in between, I was like, just pushing around a lot, pushing around the house.
Yeah.
I always like to push around myself. I don't like people pushing me unless
Sure.
I ask them specifically, hey, I'm tired, or hey, this is a really steep hill, or whatever. Can you help me up? You come up behind me. No,
Okay.
So, but yeah, so like I kind of always got strong from that, I think. Just your typical everyday pushing around. And then like, I guess like I remember maybe going into like a regular commercial gym every now and then, like with my dad or something. I just do dumbbell curls or whatever and things like that.
Yeah.
And as far as like officially starting CrossFit, I had changed jobs. I had switched from working at a restaurant into the full-time job that I have now. I work for an oilfield company, like ish,
Okay.
and I was on a lunch break coming back, and I happened to be at the train tracks. Train was going, so I'm just kind of just looking around, look over my shoulder, CrossFit gym. And then I was like, and I kind of done somewhat functional fitness. You remember like way back in the 2012, 2013 when they were like finally saying, hey, you have to be officially licensed as an affiliate. Is that my understanding with the history?
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Something
I know
like
there
that.
were a lot of affiliates that started in like 2011, 2012, that time.
Yeah, I started in 2013.
Okay.
So, and I think, like I said, I think that's when they were like, hey, if you want to be considered an affiliate, you have to like pay the licensing fee and stuff like that.
The affiliate fee.
Yeah, because I had kind of done a little bit of like functional fitness, like at another gym with another friend that I knew from high school, but I didn't stick around to it into too long. I didn't stick around that long. And then, like I said, I changed jobs. I saw this on a lunch break. It kind of took me a little bit to get the courage to send them a message on Facebook. And I'm like, hey, I'm right around the corner from you guys. I'm working a job now where I have to like lift like bins and stuff like that. Empty boxes, like, just boxes full of parts and stuff. I want to get stronger, and that's kind of just how it started. I just sent a message on Facebook, and I was like, I am in a wheelchair, so I do have, but I do have like a really strong upper body, and I want to get stronger and keep that, So, and that's kind of how it started.
And so when you went into that affiliate, there was a coach there that worked with you, and then you got into group classes and you just modified workouts? You kind of figured it out on your own?
Yeah, we did one-on-one for like maybe a year or two, maybe a little bit longer, I don't remember. And we just kind of like, she was like, okay, can you do this lift? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, scratch that. Can you do this lift? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay. So it was, you kind of had to like go through each CrossFit movement, I guess, so to speak.
Okay. And then you guys would work together to come up with like the adaptations for those movements, or when there was a workout, you guys would figure out what the adapted version was for you?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. What was that like? I mean, how long did you do that for?
See, so I kind of did one-on-one for maybe 2 years, 2.5, maybe 3. I don't remember. It was just like, it was one-on-one coaching. So
Did you get stronger?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely did. Yeah.
So did it transfer for you into your day-to-day life? Did it make things that you do day-to-day easier?
I think so, yeah. Yeah. It still does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now though, you're doing CrossFit, but through street parking,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's still the same movements, modifications, whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Still, just kept on with the adaptations and, just remembered what we did in the affiliates. I just kind of just brought it home with me, so to speak.
Yeah. So we were talking about a workout that you did on Thursday where you decided to go way back in the CrossFit main site archives to what year?
2001.
2001, when Greg Glassman was a wee lad, and it was bench presses, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I don't have like an actual bench. So I had to take like a crush pad that I have. So like when I do pull-ups, although I haven't done pull-ups in about 2 years, but when I do pull-ups, I always make sure I have a crush pad underneath me because God forbid I lose my grip.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Right.
falling down.
Yeah.
So I just put that on the floor. And then I don't have a rig or a rack or anything. I have those just two foam boxes. And
Okay.
I use that as my rack.
Rig, essentially.
Rig.
So
Yeah.
you didn't have to do floor presses, but you were pressing the barbell off of the box, basically.
Yeah.
Overhead. Okay. Can you do floor to chair transfers? Can you get in and out of your chair?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I have been doing that and been able to do that since I was like 5 or 6.
Oh, that's such an interesting distinction. And I just made the connection now because a lot of the athletes that I talk to who are seated, especially in seated one without hip, they had an accident at some point in their life, right?
No.
And so they, learning the floor to chair transfer is a critical skill for them, right? But for you, it's kind of like, well, I've been doing it since I was, a certain age. So that's really interesting. So you're able to, when you want to work out, get out of your chair, get set up, do the workout, and then get back into your chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes it's out of the chair, sometimes it's in the chair. I would say most of the time it's in the chair.
Okay. Most of the time you're working out in the chair.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So when you mentioned earlier that you liked basketball, have you ever played wheelchair basketball?
No.
No? You've never gotten the chance to?
I never
Do you
did.
want to?
No. I don't know. Like I said, there wasn't that many opportunities for us down here when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And there still isn't, which I think is a damn shame, but sorry.
That's okay.
And there still isn't, which I think is a shame, especially now in today's of women's sports and everything.
Right.
Maybe just to play, just to have fun with it, just to have something to do with, get out of the house maybe or something. I probably would. But like I said, where I live, there's really nothing here.
Okay. Yeah. But have you watched wheelchair basketball?
The Olympics.
Okay.
Paralympics.
Yeah.
I've seen it on like Paralympics, and that's really about it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it looks like it'd be amazing and very intense.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It looks like it is. I follow college and WNBA already. I've been following that since I was a kid. So, but I'm sure it is.
Do you have a favorite player in college or WNBA?
There's too many to name.
Okay, that's really cool. Because I could name 3. So I'm glad you. Okay, yeah.
Too many to name. Too many to name.
Okay. Do you go to WNBA games when you can?
We don't have any in Louisiana.
Okay.
The closest is Dallas. So watch them on TV though.
Yeah. And then are there any good college teams near where you're at? I mean, I guess LSU.
LSU, of course.
Yeah.
I'm in Lafayette, so we are the University of Louisiana at Lafayette.
Raging Cajuns?
Yes.
Billy Napier.
Yes.
Oh man, maybe well, he was. Billy Napier was there. He's now the head coach of the Gators, but
he's at Florida now, but yeah.
I know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's us.
Sorry, my stepson is a huge Gators fan, and I'm like, what would get him to listen to this podcast? And if I told him I dropped the name Billy Napier, I might get him to listen to the podcast.
Well, now you're
Doubtful, but we'll see.
Are you?
Yeah,
Right.
now we'll see. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's us.
Okay, awesome.
But
okay.
yeah, I would say, definitely LSU. I'm definitely an LSU fan for sure. Yeah. I'm from Baton Rouge, so.
So if you could get a coach in an ideal world, if you could get a coach and get some more like one-on-one training, what kind of stuff would you be looking for a coach to train you on?
As far as
functional fitness. So like if you were looking for any training in functional fitness, is that something you would be interested in if you had a coach? Or are you just more so, hey, I'm just going to do functional fitness so I stay healthier than I would be if I weren't doing it?
You mean coach like games coach? Like CrossFit games athlete coach?
Not even necessarily. More like just like in an affiliate. You know how like affiliates have coaches per se? Like I don't know. Like would you ever go back into an affiliate?
Maybe.
Okay.
I would say the second affiliate I went to was probably the one that I really, really clicked with. The coach there, Abby.
Mm-hmm.
I really clicked with her a lot. So, unfortunately, she had to close her gym last year. So they are actually no longer doing it. Like I said, her kids are growing up now. When we were talking earlier, her kids are gotten older now, so they're starting to get more involved. Dance and baseball. When I ever go back to an affiliate, maybe. If I really, really had to, honestly, be coached like for like an open workout, because they seem to be such a stickler for it nowadays. From what I've seen, they're like, yeah, a coach, and then like a video as well.
Yeah. You definitely need a video. You don't need a judge, but you definitely need a video.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks for that clarification.
Yeah,
I need that. Yeah, because I'll probably need that for if I decide to do the Open next year. So,
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe if it depends on what would be happening around, life and stuff. I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, if you do decide to do the Open next year, keep in touch. We've got a very kind and gracious community here that I think would be very helpful, very happy to guide you, through the whole classification process and into submitting videos and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know a few adaptive athletes that are kind of in the Louisiana Gulf Coast area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know of one.
Okay.
But I'm not exactly sure which affiliate he belongs to. And like I said, I only see him when the Open came around.
Yeah, who's that?
So, I don't know.
Okay, no worries, no worries.
I have no idea. I recognize his face and his name, so I really don't know.
Okay, no worries, no worries. I know my friend Dustin McCallum lives somewhere in that area, and I don't know the Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama. I don't know the Gulf Coast area real well, just being more of a Florida Gulf Coast kind of guy, but yeah, but I know he's in that area. Anyways, all that to say, if you decided you want to do the Open next year, we got you.
What's the typical weight? 35, 50 pounds for women?
I think so. Yeah, 35-pound dumbbells and 25-pound dumbbells. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't even hit that yet.
Okay.
So that kind of I'm trying to get my strength back. I really am, but it's just it takes a while.
Well, yeah, and you had told me that you'd had like a couple of years off. I mean, because of health issues, and so having to work back from that is challenging for sure. Can we go into a lightning round?
Yeah.
Okay. If you were stranded on a desert island with no equipment, what would you do for a workout?
Um, if a tree limb was like really low enough and I was able to reach it, I would do pull-ups on that for sure. If I had my pull-ups back. If there's like a really like a tree trunk or just something to where I can like bend over and use my views, that would
Yeah.
probably be it. And push-ups.
Oh,
You
there
can
you
do
go.
push-ups anywhere.
Yep.
Come on.
Nice.
So,
Great.
yeah.
What's one misconception that people have about adaptive athletes?
That we can lift heavy. And I'm not just saying like a barbell or anything like that. I'm just saying in general.
Mm-hmm.
A box that's like maybe that's like filled up with say you get a package or something, right?
Yeah.
Of course, you do have to figure out, depending on what your disability is, and if you can bend over and pick it up, and then you have to figure out how to pick up, bring yourself back up. For me, I have to bend over, pick up a box, and then like I have to have one arm around the box and one arm like on a countertop or something to push myself up because I don't have any core muscles, so I can't just come up, like as if somebody that's paralyzed from the waist down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like that, lift heavy. They're like, no, yeah, I'll lift that for you. I'm like, dude, I can lift it. Chill.
Oh. So one misconception is that adaptive athletes can't lift heavy things.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
You
Cool.
can.
Yeah. Awesome.
But like I said, not just a barbell. I'm just saying in general too.
Yeah. If you had a dream workout partner, who would it be?
Lauren Fisher.
Lauren Fisher. Aw. An OG. An OG.
Yeah, like I said, I started CrossFit in 2013. So that's when I started seeing all the games athletes, and I followed them throughout still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's nice.
She was like my favorite. Sam Briggs too, I like her. But Stacy Tovar, like if you were to like all those, like when it was way back in Carson, California, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like all those OG Rich Froning and all of them.
All right, one more lightning round question. What are you obsessed with right now?
Right at this minute.
Yeah.
I right now in the background I have the Women's College World Series on right now. So softball. So we are also big Oklahoma fans. We're hoping OU makes it to the championship game. So that is one thing that we are obsessed right now.
I love it.
So yeah, I like softball as well. I got into softball late, about 2015, 2016. So yeah, if Oklahoma makes it, even if they don't, this will be our third time going to the World Series. We've been twice before.
Awesome. All right, that concludes the lightning round. So one last question for you. If you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself, what would you tell them?
I've been trying to think about that answer because I've seen your other episodes. I don't know, actually. I really don't. I would say I'm still trying to figure that out. Even though I'm in my late 30s. I'm 36. So.
Okay. I'm 39, by the way, and I did not figure out a lot of stuff until it was between those years of like 36 to 39. I feel like our late 30s are insane.
Yeah. Just try, I guess. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. And make it your own, basically. Find a way to do it anyways.
I like that. I mean, that's like the spirit of adaptation.
Well, I mean, you have to adapt it to regular life anyways, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, everybody has to adapt. It's just we're forced to do it.
Yeah. So that would probably be the best thing I could think of.
I like that. Well, hey, thanks so much, Lysbeth. I've enjoyed getting to know you and getting to have this conversation with you. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to or anywhere that people can find you to learn more about your journey?
So, I have athlete Facebook page. It's Lysbeth's 9, like the number 9, Lives of Fitness. And basically, it's the whole video of a workout that I choose to do for that day. Every now and then, I'll put some girly stuff in there too. Some grocery hauls or whatever.
Yeah, so Lysbeth, 9 Lives of Fitness. And is it, so what's your hope with it? What's your goal with it?
There's a kid out there that's like 10, 11, 12 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, they want to get into fitness, or they want to try fitness and for another sport or whatever, for like in between. Or they want to try CrossFit themselves. They can have proof out there that this is how I would modify burpees. This is how I would modify bench press if you don't have a bench. This is how I would modify. So I would say for us, so like dips. So like if there's front squats, back squats, overhead squats, front squats and back squats, we do dips for squats in general. So weighted front and back squats, for front and back or whatever. And then for me, for overhead squats, it's behind the neck press. So, if you're not sure how to do it, there's proof. You may have to search through the post or whatever to find it, but it's out there somewhere, I'm sure. You just you're going to have to really look for it. Like I said earlier, I'm old school and I really don't want to do all the YouTube editing and stuff like that. So
no, that totally makes sense. And I actually just, I had found your page and hadn't had a chance to look at a lot of it, but then I was looking at the video of your bench press workout, and it was really interesting to see how you get out of your chair, how you specifically kind of set up for that movement, how you move around. So I think that's really cool that, one day, hopefully a kid would see that. A couple of kids and get inspired to be like, oh, I can do that kind of thing.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be a kid, me and an adult too. So,
yeah, of course. But I think sometimes, like, I know for me, I always think like, gosh, I wish I could go talk to, a young kid and be like, hey, like, you can be physically active now, you don't have to wait until life comes at you. And then you're like, oh, now I got to be physically active.
Yeah. So
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, hey, thanks so much, Lysbeth. Thanks for being on the podcast, for sharing a bit of your story with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'll catch you next time.
All right. See you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Lysbeth. What really stood out to me in this conversation is how Lysbeth is not letting anything stand in her way. She's just making it happen day in and day out, going into the spare bedroom of her house and getting some fitness in. If you want to follow her journey, her page on Facebook is Lysbeth 9 Lives of Fitness. You can go there, watch her videos of her working out, how she adapts these street parking and main site workouts. And after our interview, Lysbeth reached out to me and said she wanted to update her answer to the question about what people underestimate about adaptive athletes. And I thought it was a really good response. So here's Lysbeth in her own words.
Some, not all, of us are, able to have a job or able to go to college or trade school or technical school. Some of us, or even higher, some of us have families, some of us have kids. Some of us are able to live on our own. And the ones that can live on our own, we have to get groceries for ourselves too. If some of us that are able to drive, we have to fill up our cars as well, just like as regular everyday people. And I think that's very, very underestimated of us. So yeah, we're just regular everyday people.
And I think she's absolutely right. Adaptive athletes are regular people. Yes, we're different, but we're also just regular people who have to do regular everyday things. And I'm so glad she highlighted that. If you're enjoying this podcast, I hope you would subscribe to the podcast, share it with a friend, leave a comment, or leave a review on one of our podcast episodes. It would make a difference in getting it out to reaching more people. We've got a lot of interviews lined up, and I can't wait to journey with you guys as we go towards the 2025 CrossFit Adaptive Games in Vegas. We're going to have tons of stories to share with you of athletes in this space. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Matt Hotho, and I'll see you next time.